So let's just ask the big question right up front. You look at the system, you see the money, the muscle, and you just feel stuck, powerless. It really feels like the whole game is rigged, doesn't it? So what can any of us realistically do about it?
And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, right? A hopeless citizen is an obedient citizen. Think about that for a second. That feeling that nothing you do matters, that deep-seated cynicism, it's not just some random feeling. No, it's actually the very thing that keeps the broken system going. It's the fuel for the fire.
And this is exactly what we're talking about, right? This trap of cynicism. And hey, it's totally understandable. I mean, you see it all the time. Promises get made and then poof, they're gone. You see money flowing where it shouldn't. Of course it's easy to just throw your hands up and lose hope.
I bet this sounds familiar, doesn't it? Nothing's ever going to change. Or, all the parties are exactly the same. We hear it all the time. But that kind of thinking, it's a trap. It freezes us. It stops us from doing anything. And guess who that helps? Yep, the very people who are benefiting from the way things are right now.
And check this out. This lays out the bizarre contradiction we seem to live in. For basically 5 years, right? We complain, we are loud about the corruption, the bad roads, the lack of jobs. But then, for that one single month right before an election, crickets. That's when we go silent. That's the cycle. And that's exactly what has to be broken.
Okay, so it sounds pretty bleak, I know. But here's the good news. It is not a lost cause, not by a long shot. We've talked about the problem, now let's flip the script and talk about the solution. Because believe it or not, history has actually left us a playbook on how to fight back.
And this is the secret sauce right here. The big takeaway from history. Change doesn't happen overnight. It comes from sustained citizen action. I'm not talking about one big protest or a single angry tweet that goes viral. I'm talking about the slow, steady, consistent work. That's what slowly but surely reshapes how things are done.
And just so we're clear, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky theory, okay? This stuff is actually work. We're talking about proven strategies that have made a real, tangible difference in places like India and in other countries that have systems just like this. The bottom line? Change is absolutely possible because we've seen it happen.
All right, so you're probably asking, okay, great, but what do I do? Perfect question. Let's get practical. Let's get into the real, actionable steps that you, me, anyone can take. Think of what's coming up next as your citizen's toolkit for making a difference.
Okay, here they are. 5 solid, concrete strategies. We've got everything from monitoring and documenting to naming and shaming. Each one of these is a different tool in your belt, designed to do one thing: shift the power back to where it belongs, with us. So let's start with the first one.
Monitor and document. You know, this one sounds so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Why? Because pretty much everyone has a smartphone in their pocket. That phone is a tool. When you see something wrong, someone handing out cash, government vehicles being used for campaigning, you record it. You document it. Suddenly, you're not just a person complaining, you're a citizen building a case.
But, all these other tools, they all lead up to this. The single most important tool in the entire toolkit. It's the one thing that no one can take from you. And that is simply refusing the money, the liquor, the gifts, and voting based on what really matters: performance and integrity. That is the one move they just can't counter.
So, this brings us to a point where we have to get really honest with ourselves. It's time to ask some tough questions, maybe even some uncomfortable ones.
Let's just put a number on it to make it real. How about 1,000 rupees? It's not a life-changing amount of money, but you hear about it being offered, right? So just picture that amount. Hold that number in your head for a second.
Now, here's the real question. If you take that 1,000 rupees for your vote, what's the price you're really paying? How much are you actually selling the next 5 years for? Your kid's education, your local hospital, the roads you drive on, is it all worth that? When you think about it like that, it's a totally different calculation, isn't it?
Okay, now let's take it a step further. Forget just one person. What if in just one area, 10,000 voters all got together and publicly said, nope, we're not taking any money, we're not taking any gifts? Can you imagine the shockwave that would send? The whole game would change overnight. Political parties would have no choice but to completely rethink how they operate.
Because at the end of the day, this whole thing, it goes way beyond just politics. It's not about which party wins or loses, it's a moral choice. It's about what kind of future we're actually building for our kids.
Think about it like this. Every single vote, it's like laying another brick in the foundation of the future.
It's you making a statement about what you value, what you believe in, what you think your community truly deserves. It is so much more than just pushing a button or stamping a piece of paper.
So, let's fast forward 10 years from now. The dust has settled, the banners are down, your kids or maybe your grandkids are going to ask you, what did you do back then? When you look them in the eye, will you be proud of the answer you give them, or will you be ashamed? That is the choice we all have to make.